U.S. strikes on Iran in retaliation for an attack on a vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. That's the headline, and it's a story that raises serious questions about whether a fragile ceasefire between Washington and Tehran is already coming apart. Here's what happened. On Thursday, Iran launched at least 4 one-way attack drones at a container ship called the Ever Lovely, a large cargo vessel transiting the Strait of Hormuz near the Omani coast. One drone struck the upper deck. 3 others were shot down by U.S. forces. The ship was damaged but managed to continue on its way. President Trump called the attack a foolish violation of the preliminary peace agreement the two countries had signed just last week. Then, on Friday, the U.S. hit back. U.S. Central Command announced strikes on Iranian missile and drone storage facilities in coastal radar sites along the Strait of Hormuz and on Qeshm Island. The operation lasted about 90 minutes and targeted 4 sites in total. A U.S. defense official was quick to characterize these strikes as retaliatory, not, they stressed, a restart of major combat operations. Iran didn't stay quiet. The Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps said the U.S. strikes violated the ceasefire and warned that any repetition would be met with a more extensive response. Iran's security forces also claimed they struck U.S. Army positions in the region in response, though the U.S. military had not confirmed that as of this report. And a conservative Iranian lawmaker, head of Parliament's National Security Committee, called the American strikes a reckless violation and warned they would lead to retreat and regret. Vice President J.D. Vance, for his part, posted on social media that the United States had honored the ceasefire, but made the administration's position clear: violence will be met with violence. So why does this all matter beyond the immediate exchange of fire? The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most critical choke points in the world for oil and gas shipping. The whole point of last week's preliminary deal was to restore safe, unrestricted passage through it. But Thursday's attack on the Ever Lovely appears to be the first known Iranian strike on a commercial vessel since that agreement was signed, and it immediately exposed just how shaky the deal is. Iran is asserting that it has a right to manage marine traffic through the strait, pointing to language in the U.S.-Iran agreement that says Iran would make arrangements using its best efforts for safe passage. That wording is deliberately vague, and both sides are reading it differently. Iran says ships must travel through its waters, not along a U.S.-backed southern route hugging the Omani coast, as many vessels, including the Ever Lovely, had been doing. The U.S. and its Gulf allies have rejected that interpretation outright, with a joint declaration calling for free, unconditional and unrestricted navigation through the strait. Iran called that declaration interventionist, irresponsible and provocative. The practical fallout is already being felt. The International Maritime Organization suspended an effort to help hundreds of stranded vessels leave the Persian Gulf. At least 2 tankers turned around after Iran's warnings. Ship traffic through the strait dropped from 73 vessels one day to just 54 the next. Shipping associations are now warning that some companies and their insurers may decide the risk is simply too high to proceed, and with good reason. As one maritime security official put it, there are real fears that hostilities will break out again. The timing is also notable. Iran's drone attack on Thursday came just hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio had wrapped up meetings with Gulf Cooperation Council foreign ministers in the region, meetings specifically aimed at reassuring America's allies that the deal with Iran was holding. What we're seeing is a ceasefire that both sides claim to support, but that each is interpreting in ways that put them on a collision course, and with the world's oil shipping lanes hanging in the balance, the stakes couldn't be much higher. This has been your news briefing. Stay informed, and we'll keep watching as this one develops.